Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Carmen McGuinness. So today we're going to add another entry to my series called Six-Spoke Wheel of Recovery. I'm going to put up a link here for the very first one on that. Today we're going to talk about the function of daydreams and other uses of a chessboard. And hopefully that topic will come together for you by the end of the presentation. So, if you are or have ever been in therapy, or if you've done a lot of self-help reading or viewing on this channel or other channels like this, you've probably gotten the idea that you should be careful about engaging in rumination and future worrying, daydreaming, that sort of thing. And yes, even daydreams are dangerous and can be a problem. If they become reinforcers and if they're paired with things, activities, or people we have either lost or cannot or should not ever have. As reinforcers, they increase the value of these things when we have daydreams about these things, because they make us feel good. And whatever makes us feel good, we will repeat again and again. And the value of that thing that we did with it will be increased. So it might go something like this. You're driving to work and a particular song comes on on the radio. The song was popular when you were seeing your ex-lover, ex-husband, ex-wife, whoever that person is. You begin to engage in a daydream about him or her, and you feel good because you're lost now in a happier time, or more dangerous still, an imagined time with that person. A time in which the argument you'd had later that day never happened. A time in which he wasn't unemployed, or she wasn't drinking too much, or he wasn't flirting with your best friend, or whatever his or her problem behaviors were. What are the functions of daydreams, rumination, and other forms of replaying memories is what we're going to discuss now. So why do we engage in these behaviors? What do we, as the daydreamer, get out of them? Well, we humans are very much the co-creators of our world. Our thoughts come to life. That's how we got where we are, wherever we are. But when these things are thoughts that cannot or should not come to life, dead-end or circular thoughts, replayed thoughts, or fears that will likely never happen, fears for which we are prepared and need do nothing else in preparation but to live our lives fearlessly, these things can be dangerous. So ruminating keeps us rooted in the past, and worry just wastes our time. And those are actually the functions of these things. They are what we use them for. Some of us want to be rooted in the past, and some of us want to waste our time so that we can't carry on with our lives. Daydreaming about what we cannot have keeps us rooted in an imagined world, increasing the value of those things, because in our dream world, things are perfect. So what's a girl or a guy to do? You've tried doing the right stuff. You've tried to forget your ex-lover, to stop reliving, recreating your mistakes, getting involved in the same relationship, only with a new bad boy or bad girl. Well, here's what I do and what I teach my clients to do. And so far it's working. Try thinking of your thoughts as a screenplay, your daydreams as a stage. When you have a thought about him, I'm going to use him because I'm a she who likes hymns. When you have a thought about him, you should know whoever he is, that person, whoever you want to imagine right now instead of my him. Instead of getting lost in him, in the longing and the fear of life without him, instead of getting lost in all of that and the fear that you'll never find anyone like him again, instead of that, Instead of getting mad, and instead of trying to get rid of these thoughts, push them aside. Instead of spinning backward into an angry recount of how he hurt you so that you can stop thinking nice things about him and what a dick he really was, try this instead. Ask yourself, what does that thought mean about me? Now, I'm not speaking here of your self-defeating thoughts. It means I'm weak. I'm not thinking of that one. It means I'll never get over him. I'm not talking about that one. Instead, I'd argue that self-defeating thought is just another armor you've invented to keep you from the truth of what this thought really means about you. So go back to the thought and hold on tight, because this might feel a bit like a free fall. The thought, and I'll use one of mine as an example, and this is where the psychologist tries to involve the client or the viewer in her world to get them engaged in this process. But I'm going to be real honest, and I'm going to use a true thought. So here's the thought. This is a recent one. I just want to talk to him. I want to tell him about my recent accomplishment. I had won an award for one of my books. Maybe I'll text him. I know he won't answer. He still hates me for calling him out on what he really is. He's ghosting me. And he's probably got a new lover anyway. So, of course, I do text him. And, of course, he doesn't reply. I didn't expect him to. And I might not have even texted him had I expected a response. So, what does all of this mean about me? If he's just a player in my rock and roll band or a character in my screenplay, what does all of the above actually mean about me? So let's break it down. Let's take it, because my thought was big. Let's take it piece by piece. I just want to talk to him, to tell him about my recent accomplishment. That sounds familiar. I do that with friends sometimes. Please listen to me just for a minute. I want to talk about me for a few minutes. We can talk about you afterward, and when we do talk about you, I do feel more mature. I feel less needy, less like a child. All of that feels familiar too. I used to do that when I got home from school. I used to tell my mom about my day. I always felt when I did that I was keeping her from something else, something she'd rather be doing. Now, I've always been sensitive, so I'd look around her, nothing pressing, no fires burning, just a crossword puzzle and a glass of Coca-Cola. But I felt like she needed to be doing something other than just listening to me. So the next part of my thought, maybe I'll text him to tell him. I know he won't answer. So maybe I'll text him to tell him about my accomplishment. I know he won't answer. Now, this is also familiar about me. Remember, I didn't get lost in the thoughts about him here. I'm reflecting back to me. And this is also a familiar thought. Whether him or mom, keep talking anyway. Text him. Tell him about your award. Tell mom about your day at school. It doesn't matter that no one's listening. You're learning to parent yourself. Just keep talking, even if you're the only one listening. So you see, I'm making some real self-discoveries with this process by refusing to get lost in the daydream about him and reflecting back on myself instead. Next part of my very long thought. He still hates me for calling him out on what he really is. What does that mean about me? Well, you should have been better. Shouldn't have been the squeaky wheel. Even as a child, you grabbed all the attention. Just because you were the baby, you should have been quieter, more humble, more helpful, like your big sister. Next part of the thought. He's ghosting me. I'm invisible to him? He's left me behind? What does that mean about me? Maybe when Mom used to ignore me, it was intentional. Maybe she was trying to tell me, go away. Maybe she'd left me behind. Next part of the thought. He's probably got a new lover anyway. Of course he has. He's a narcissist and needs a constant supply of attention. Well, maybe Mom has made my sister her new favorite. When I reflect back on myself, that thought comes up. Now that she's grown up, my sister, and I'm a needy teenager, like my sister was when I was the adored baby, maybe Mom has switched us out. Maybe Mom just isn't good at needy teenagers. And yes, I did text him, and of course he didn't reply, as I expected. I learned early not to expect a reply. That's what that means. I learned early not to expect a reply. I learned early to accept being the adored baby girl for a brief time and then being ghosted by Mom. So later that day, my ex-husband comes by to drop off the kids. You know what happens next, right? Yep. I had to tell him about my accomplishment. Now, he couldn't ghost me. We have kids, so ghosting me isn't an option. So he was respectfully impressed with my accomplishment. But afterward, I felt icky. You know, icky like he didn't really care anyway, and I kind of used him to sort of pretend that he did. That kind of icky. So back to the original question. What does the thought, the rather long one I just went through, mean about me? I need, for whatever it's worth, someone to share my life with. Someone who cares about what happens to me. No surprise there, right? We all need that. That's not selfish, that's normal. But what is a surprise about all of this? What I did find when I dug deeper into the original thought was maybe I'll text him about my accomplishment. That thought was a trail that led back to a time and a person who taught me that I should be less needy, more helpful, more humble, quieter, more about them and not me, and never call anyone out, less like myself, less like me, and that I shouldn't expect an answer, that being adored for a short while and then ghosted is okay, and maybe it's all we can get out of life. Now, I can't leave my viewers hanging there. The story was way too sad. And of course, I don't want to be needy or the squeaky wheel. I learned that early. So I'll share with you that Mom was mostly lovely, though a little eccentric and maybe a little bit narcissistic. And in defense of her shortfalls, I will also share that she lost her own mother at the age of 9. And she was the eldest of many. So her father parentified her, allowed her to be the adult, the co-parent to the other children. Parentification, not good. Doesn't make for a good mummy years later. It's the topic of another segment of mine, and I'll put up a link here. So what to do with all this information, and how does the title of this segment, something about a chessboard, play in? Well, for me, it's the little square piece of paper that reads, someone to care about my accomplishments and share my life with. And it fills one tiny square on my personal chessboard. And the people who do that are characters in my personal screenplay. And this keeps my narrative that's going on in my head about what does this mean about me. It keeps me in self-discovery rather than spinning backward and focusing on those things that I'm so trying desperately to forget. So in closing, I really hope this was helpful and not too much about me. I hope it gives you a window into your own thoughts, daydreams, ruminations, and encourages you to ask the tough question, what does this mean about me? I'll be doing another segment on this topic soon, and that one will reflect on song lyrics that get stuck in our head and what they mean about us. And next week, I'll be recording from the countryside near Seattle, where I'll be visiting my beautiful daughter and her family. So I'll see you then. Thank you so much for stopping by. And as always, I'll remind you that if you need more help than you get on the internet with videos like this, reach out to me or someone like me. There's a lot of people out there for you. Thanks for stopping by.